It was such a shock because I suddenly thought, they're Catholics. Because up until then, it hadn't occurred to me that they were Catholics. They were Christians and they were teaching me to live the gospel. But Catholics, we had prejudices against Catholics in my family. I thought, what will I say to my mum when I get home tonight? I've spent the day with Catholics.
May they all be one. Jesus' prayer for unity is at the center of the Focolare spirituality. Although the movement began in the Catholic Church, ever since the 1960s, Christians of various denominations started to live the spirituality. Leslie Ellison is from Liverpool. She's the first non-Catholic to enter a Focolare community. What was for you the novelty as an Anglican in getting to know the Focolare movement?
The novelty. I remember going to the Focolare at the very beginning. They kept using the phrase, living the gospel. We have to live the gospel. Live it was a novelty. That was a real novelty, that the gospel was something that we had to take the initiative and live. I think over the years, what we've always had to do as non-Catholics has been to distinguish between what is the gift that the Focolare movement contains, what we call the charism, that's one thing, and what is the practices, or what are the practices of the Catholic Church, which often are the more visible aspect of the movement.
Isn't it the case that ecumenism would be fine if we stop making judgments about one another and saying that the other people need to change in order for a real ecumenical relationship to grow? And
we need space, we need time, and we need to get to know one another, and that takes time, and it takes listening. We need to listen to one another, deeply listen to one another, and then we begin to understand the differences. And maybe we will never agree, our differences will always be there, but they are of value, that those differences can be embraced. Difference is normal, we're all different from each other.
Appreciate the differences. Learn how diversity can be an enrichment. This, in essence, is the experience of the men's Focolare community in London. 2 Anglicans and 3 Catholics give an ecumenical testimony.
Jesus didn't say where 2 or more saints are gathered together, or where 2 or more Catholics, but he said he left it anonymous. He didn't specify. So, and I think that is really the experience that we have, because at a very deep level, we're united, we're one, but we still remain, I'm still an Anglican, Nino's still a Catholic, because unity isn't uniformity.
The Focolare Centre for Unity is a gathering place for the Focolare community throughout Britain, with a decades-long experience of the coming together of Christians of different denominations. Paul and Mary Gateshill live close to the centre. Mary works in the management of the facility, which is open to the religious communities in the area and also to the civil society, for example with outreach to Ukrainian families.
Yeah, so I'm Anglican, Church of England, and
I'm Roman Catholic.
yeah, and we got married in 1979, so that's about 43 years ago.
I think, just as a premise, we would say that our experience might not be the same as many others in mixed marriages, because we choose to live within our own churches, don't we?
Yeah. I think one of the big trials in many ways was not to be able to receive the Eucharist with my children, because they were brought up as Roman Catholic, and you know, so on a Sunday morning or whenever, I would go in one direction and they would go in another direction, which was quite painful. I have a prayer if I go up for a blessing from the Catholic priest. This hurt that I feel is the most precious thing I can offer for the unity of the churches.
So here we are, the Centre for Unity Chapel.
Yeah, this is an ecumenical chapel.
We thought, what could we do to maintain our unity, to show our unity? And so once a week we started here, maybe 15, 20 people, something like that, Anglicans, Catholics, a Baptist, and we had 15 minutes where we shared a reflection, sang a song, had a moment of prayer together as a witness.
When the pandemic arrived, it allowed us to not just be in this room, but actually to transmit prayers for unity throughout the world.
Now we do it online every Monday evening, and we don't know how it happens, but the word spreads and people join us from different countries. So, for example, yesterday we had people who joined us from
Malta, Brussels, Finland, Sweden,
Arizona,
Phoenix, Arizona in the USA,
yes,
from Russia, from all over Great Britain.
yeah.
And now we have different denominations, not just Anglicans and Roman Catholics, United Reformed Church, Finnish Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Lutherans, Swedish Lutheran, Salvation Army. And the list is endless.
and changes every week.
Hello! What a surprise. Do come. Please come in. How is the cold?
It's the sense of being one family that empowers people in various parts of the world of different confessions, faith or cultural backgrounds to go beyond what might divide them.
Chiara used to talk about the rift between our churches. She called it a split. She likened it to in the mountains where there are rocks and there are like crevices between the rocks. And she said there's like a crevice between your church and our church. And that crevice needs to be filled with love. And that's where our place is, inside that crevice. And later on, I discovered that there are many crevices, because I've got many friends in the Orthodox churches, I've got friends in the Lutheran churches, I've got friends in the Reformed churches. And in a sense, we're all split from each other in one way or another. But what we have to do is to make that love between us grow to the point that we fill up these cracks. So the love amongst us has to fill up the cracks. But then you realize when you move further out, the splits are not just between the churches, there are splits throughout humanity everywhere. They all need to be filled with love. So I think that the whole direction of our lives has to be a love for anything that hurts, anything that's different, anything that's not mine has to be loved and appreciated.